All right. The Follow Podcast, episode 14.
Big one
Today we
four.
have, what's that?
Big 1-4.
Big one
First of
four.
2025.
That's right. Today we have the All In Podcast. It's a podcast I think we both listen to every single week, but they talk about a lot of like current events. It's not very much topic based. So we haven't done one yet, but it's one of my favorite podcasts. I don't know about you, Conley.
Yeah, it's definitely. I watch every single episode. I'm not missing one. I find it to be a great source of news. It's kind of
Yeah.
I would say like my main source of news actually. Um, so I think you found it before me, but it was about a year ago. I'd say about maybe a little bit less than a year ago, or no,
I started
it was
listening
over
to
a year
it
ago.
during the pandemic.
Yeah. So 2 years, 3 years maybe. Um, but when you first shared it to me, I was listening to it for probably the first like 5 episodes I listened to it. I didn't, maybe 4 episodes. I didn't realize that these were like very successful people. Until Tremoth was talking about having dinner with like Draymond Green and the Warriors players after the finals. I was like, okay, I got to look up these people, and they're all very successful Silicon Valley software industry guys. To give some
In
context,
particular, yeah, they're all venture capitalists. So they all have a huge amount of money that they invest in different companies, which was really the topic that hooked me at the beginning. Like, what a cool career. You just get to compile a bunch of money from people that have money that they want to invest in things and go out and find the best companies to invest in. You got to understand macroeconomics. You get to be on the leading edge of the coolest companies. Like, it's very appealing and thus very competitive. So we'll probably never do it. But
something else I've just now thought of is with these guys all being in VC, like it really is a great concoction for a good podcast because to be in venture capital, you have to really be unbiased and look at information with a neutral perspective to be able to be successful in venture capital. Like, there's not really any, you can't have this BS of a biased mindset and be successful, or else you're just going to lose. So that's kind of
yeah,
I haven't thought about that, but it kind of makes sense that venture capitalists would be a great like media source in the fact that they need to be unbiased to be good at their jobs.
yeah, right. Kind of like Polymarket. Polymarket is maybe the best source of unbiased predictions because it's people's money. It's not, you can't grandstand. You are betting your cold hard cash on the result. And that's kind of what VCs do too.
I think, I guess getting into it, one of the coolest things, I don't think this is in any of the predictions, but one of the coolest things about 2024 I thought was Market.
Ooh, that is a good one.
Because like it polling just I think they had the Polymart CEO on All In at one point, and he talked about it, or he was on another podcast. But like the whole polling process was so like just rotted. There was no merit to it. I think one of our many common themes in here is show me the incentives, I'll tell you the outcome.
Yeah.
And polling is like the definition of that. I never understood who answers these polls. It's like, and that's with a lot of statistics. Like, I think people like will die on a hill saying a certain statistic, like 80% of the time people say like, it's like, those aren't accurate statistics. And what Polymart does is is a great way to try to predict these probabilities for these areas that are really hard to like poll people on, like to get truly unbiased opinions and data on. So it's really cool. We could probably have a whole episode just talking about it.
But it's like, it's so when you do your MBA, one of the first things you do is like statistics, and they talk about wisdom of crowds, and they show how mathematically crowds, large groups of people are better at predicting than even experts. And Polymarket takes it one step further, and you get the wisdom of crowds because now the whole world can place their bets. But you also get the people that are more confident are placing higher wagers. So it's not every vote's equal. The more confident you are, the more impact on the outcome you have, which I think is it multiplies the accuracy in my mind.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's kind of like the aspect of just like a free market. Like in a free market, the best product's gonna rise to the top, and when you have a free market for predicting, the
Yeah,
accurate, like the truth is gonna rise to the top.
right,
Like there's no
right.
BS.
And you don't have a free market on those, mainstream media outlets, right?
Mm-hmm.
When they're predicting the future. Do you see those clips about um the Pelosi ETF and the reverse Kramer?
Not reverse Kramer, but
So
the
the Pelosi one's hilarious, but the reverse Kramer, there's that guy on MSNBC that has the board, and he's like sell, 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 buy, buy, buy,
opposite.
and yeah, so they made an ETF that invests in the opposite of what he says, and it returned 46% this year.
That's crazy.
And so just to put that in perspective, that outperforms the best experts in the world. And so Nancy Pelosi won. She was 54% best ETF this year, but only 8 points behind the person that literally does insider trading is this reverse Kramer, which is hilarious. I mean, talk about irony.
He needs to work on his insider trading.
Well, like you can tell, all of what he's saying isn't financial predictions. He's trying to fluff.
Oh, so he's
Trying to pitch, the insider company, the incumbents, rather than actually predicting the market.
So additionally, what's really cool if hopefully you have an understanding of Polymart at this point, but All In has done a deal. So like after this episode, they're gonna have some
Yes.
predictions in Polymart, which is just like it's a cool world to be in.
Yep.
Like it's almost, you know what it is? When you're like watching movies and stuff, like you're just watching, right? It almost feels like we're just getting closer and closer to like interacting with the
Participating.
content we're watching. It was just it's a pretty cool concept.
It is. It's really cool. I went on the Polymarket app, and it has way more now. It's growing fast. Like it has, you can look up the top ones. You can look up like creator tab. You can do sports. You can do pop culture. Like there's a lot of weird ones on there, and they just put the criteria, and you can bid. Anyways, at the very bottom of this episode, I had a list of, I think it was 5 interesting Polymarket bets I wanted to go over with you. But back to this podcast. So All In, it's missing Sachs, which is my favorite person. One of the reasons I like this so much is you got Chamath in the middle. You got Friedberg, which I probably most align with. He's very free market based. He's probably closest to a libertarian. He likes to stay out of politics, but I would say if I had to put him in a camp, he would be libertarian. And then you have Jason, which is the woke, stereotype, and you have Sachs, which is, I would say, not the Republican stereotype. The Republican stereotype I think of is like grandma, where she's just, or it's like this old white guy that just like repeats whatever Trump says, right? He's like the super smart, savvy, does his research, and knows how to counter woke guy, and he just constantly slams Jason. And I love it. Like, but he's missing now. He got a Trump cabinet appointment as the CI or crypto and AI guru. So we're missing him
Czar.
right now.
Czar,
that's right. I'm ready for him to come back.
So I guess on top of that, I'm interested during the election. I kind of got tired of Sachs. Like he got too far, right for me. And I thought there was like a 2 or 3 episode span during like right before the election where I thought Friedberg was winning a lot more of the arguments. Like
Yeah.
Sachs almost got he was like delusion to his own like thoughts and
He
plans.
got
I
wrapped up
thought
into
Friedberg was,
politics.
and it was the first time that I like was way more in agreement with Friedberg, and I think it just displays how well the dynamic of the podcast is balanced.
Yeah, it's
That
very
they
bad.
balance each other out that well that for a whole like 10 episode span, I can just be on the same page with Sachs, and then Friedberg just has great points, and you're like, oh, Friedberg's awesome too, you know?
Yeah, that's right. And it's
But
not like CNN where they have their token Republican and it's like cats fighting in a room. They're still friends, so it's cordial, but they're not afraid to go at each other's opinions.
yeah, they call each other's bluffs, but they're humans, right? Like they can live with each other being not in agreement, you know?
And then you got Chamath, and he changes his opinion the most based on what he hears, which is another good example to watch.
Mm-hmm.
He can just be fluid. All right, let's dive into these.
Yeah, so we're gonna go over each topic that they predicted on, and we're gonna say our own predictions and what we agreed with or disagreed with what they said.
Yep. And I have some comments on their opinions, just to kind of tie into what they had. But why don't you start us off with biggest political winner for 2025?
Yeah. So I'm not a big political guy. So with that being said, I am predicting, and this isn't this is probably pretty obvious prediction or pretty typical, is that taxpayers are going to be winners in the sense that Doge is going to be able to really clean out a lot of the corrupt and the guck of our federal government and our taxpayer dollars. So
I like that a lot.
That one seems pretty mainstream, which is fine. So hopefully mainstream's right in this sense.
Well, so you're essentially predicting that they'll win the get rid of the red tape and get rid of the waste and fraud.
Has Elon ever lost?
No. Not to date.
No.
Not to date.
He doesn't lose.
The question is, how much will he win? Right? Yeah. I mean, I think there's a ton of government fraud and abuse out there. But when I think about it, like, okay, let's say he goes after, I'm trying not to say exact examples, but I mean, you have multi-year contracts. Like they talked about cost plus being a very bad model. I completely agree. It is not the best incentive structure for the taxpayer. But a lot of those cost plus contracts are huge investments over 10 years. You can't pull the rug on that. Even if you show it as like, hey, look how much we're wasting, their contracts. The deal's already been done. You can't take backseas.
Yeah, so, but I think like it's like in those situations, like if you do take backseas and you just rip it out and start with a new contract, right? Like, can you?
No, you're legally binded. You can't. You can't. Oh. If you make a deal with me for the next 10 years, I provide you 100 bikes a year. That's a legally binding contract. There might be some legal outs, like if I do X, Y, or Z, right? But
if you're 10x over budget, I don't know
right.
if that's.
But if I stay at 9x, you have to buy them.
Yeah, they would just lower the prices.
So I think that's a general theme you're going to see with my predictions this year is things are going to get better, but they are going to take some time. And I think the biggest reason they're going to take some time is the establishment that we're going to get rid of, which is why we think it's going to get better, is going to go down swinging hard. they are going to try to make things worse. So it seems like these changes are not for the better, even though they are. They have these contracts in place. You even see these deals Biden's cutting on his way out. All the
Okay, that's a
pardons,
whole podcast right there, dude.
they're wild. They're like, all right, our run is over, but hey, we have presidency for the next 5 months. Let's do everything we wanted to do. Who cares what they know? Because we're just doing it. It's our last chance. All right, for mine, biggest political winner, I had two. So I had RFK and I had Sachs. I think Sachs is going to be a big winner because he's got a very important position. Like, what's more important right now in our economy than AI and crypto? And I think America, or at least the political actors, are going to be introduced to how talented I think he is. I think this dude is wicked smart. I think he's going to make a great politician. And he was kind of coy about it over the past year, but he's taken the cabinet position. He's vacating this podcast, which is extremely popular. And I could see like this being the stepping stone for Sachs to go for some big positions. And I think he will win a lot of people over the next 4 years, particularly this year. And then I think RFK, when I look at the Trump coalition, RFK, Tulsi, Vivek, Musk, Vance, they're the reason he won. They're the reason we're so optimistic. But Trump is in his second term. He can't run again. So how long until these people start aiming at each other for that next Republican nomination or even independent nomination? I think RFK is currently in the best position to get his agenda done. I think he's going to be able to say it.
I think he's got one of the hardest jobs to do. I think
I
that's one of
disagree.
the most corrupted industries.
Yes, which means there's a lot of low hanging fruit. Like if he just gets food dyes out, one, that's a huge, like, visible win.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
everyone's paying attention to it, and you will see it in what you eat every day. Like those Fruit Loops will be noticeably different color, and everyone will notice it. And they'll say why. And it's like, this guy figured out how to get cancer out of our shit. I think that's a easy win. Just in dyes. I mean, there's a million things you have to do to get the FDA on track. But just that one would be a huge win as far politically. So I think RFK, he's the most in the center, I think. And Tulsi would be the other one, but she has a lot of haters. Like the establishment is going after her for some reason. So I think at the end of the 4 years, at the end of this year, RFK will be the front runner to succeed. He'll be the front runner for the next presidential election. That's my prediction.
Rather than VP.
Vance.
Yeah.
I think Ramaswamy will be a credible opponent in the Republican side. I think it'll be them two and that Republican from Florida. And then we'll see what Musk does. Does he keep being a donor or does he go political? I mean, he's spending a lot of time in politics right now.
I don't see him getting. I think I see him navigating politics rather than leading it.
Being that donor.
Yeah, because I mean, he can do relatively maybe more from the outside.
Yeah, we'll see who the Democrats elect. That'll be interesting. But I think RFK.
I think
is the left. Most center.
I think the left hasn't reached their point of having to recenter yet. I think like the end of this year, if a lot of these things become successful, I think that's when the left starts to come back. But I don't think they have yet. I think they're just right at the end, and they're about to come back to the middle and be more reasonable. But I think it's going to take these RFK, Doge successes from them for left to really come back to the middle for the next election.
So Freeberg had a really interesting prediction about socialism coming back. And I think he's too early on this one. I don't think it'll happen this year. But I do think at the end of the 4-year term would be about the timeline where you see all this disruption happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's got a good point there. I think that's how the left attacks the next president, is they say, look at all these rich people getting richer with AI, with robots. They're taking your jobs. They're leaving you nothing. We need socialist programs to take that wealth back down to the average person.
I mean,
I
we
think
could
that would be their platform.
genuinely be at the point of needing those programs. Like for someone in the middle, like I could see it being a genuine argument in 4 years.
Right. If half the people have lost their job in 4 years to these technologies, I think all 5 out of those 10 people would vote left. Because what other options do they have?
Mm-hmm.
If I lost my job and I couldn't compete with the AI for my position, I would vote for socialistic, ideas.
Yeah, I agree. I think 4 years is a far enough time out to where those things can happen. Like, and it can like genuinely be that scenario.
It'll be a different world in 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, already from this election to 4 years ago, the last election, a lot of things have changed. From 2020, from 2016, everything's changed. Like, it's crazy. 4 years, man. It's a good time frame. Whoever decided that one, good job. All right.
What about Biggest Loser politically?
I have a cop out here. Biggest Loser. Biggest political loser. Sorry. Federal employees that are being attacked or audited by Doge.
That's right. What do you do again?
For Doge to be successful, what?
What do you do again? Why aren't you in the office? What's your job?
Yeah. I thought you were talking to me. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be. I mean, they have just been, feeding off their incentives, their lack of incentives, and I know I see a lot of remote work still. I think it's going to be a pretty easy cleanup job, and it's going to be a slap in the face for a lot of those federal employees because they're used to being able to hang around.
They're comfy.
So, yeah, I'm building off my first prediction, doubling down.
I have mine's close to that. Mine's the deep state. I think the declassified files, the Doge findings of fraud will be so blatant, so popular that they will have a huge impact in their ability to remain anonymous and in power.
So when I think of deep state, I think of centralized. They centralize the media, they centralize our regulations, they centralize our food sources. They're in control of most of these things, and at a high percentage, it's centralized control. You see stuff like cryptocurrency, also Polymart. It's a layer 2 crypto application. It's decentralized. This whole aspect of decentralized, like just in general, decentralize everything. Like I feel like it's weird. It's a stretch of a connection in my head, but I think like the movement of crypto and decentralized is like affecting these other areas. Because I genuinely think Polymart had a big play in our election, and that's a decentralized technology. Like,
yeah,
it's maybe a stretch, but I see the connection in my head, and like it's like an abstraction of decentralized solutions. Like in my head, I see it all connecting as in like almost like a part of the movement of crypto and decentralized technologies.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think there's something there. It's like there's some momentum from it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing for crypto is it's the first alternative to the centralized. It's honestly a good competitor. right? And there's no decentralized deep state that you can do yet. But I get your meaning where it's like this momentum where people are like, yeah, when it's centralized, you guys become corrupt and start skimming off the top. We don't want that anymore.
Another thing that is, it's not a decentralized network, but I think it's going to turn into it. But is like TikTok. It is these independent creators with short term or short form content, and they're independent of any incomes, and they're creating this content. They're exposing information. Podcasters, they're independent. They're giving information without any repercussions of a bigger entity controlling them. These are all like decentralized things.
And gets us
Now,
closer to the free market.
yes, and I mean podcasts and TikTok, they're not on a decentralized platform, but by nature, what they are compared to what we were traditionally, like what they're replacing, the thing that was traditionally there that they're replacing, they are a decentralized form of that.
Right.
And all these are is what leading us to less corruption. You know,
Yeah.
it's a cool theme.
I think you're onto something.
And
All right, let's go to
I'm gonna be
let's go to
talking
the
more
biggest
about it. So yeah, we can keep going.
let's go to biggest business winner. I got a mine's not very good here. I don't mine's just AI hardware. That guy made a very good case. I think AI is the future, and the
Robotics.
real money makers up front will be the people that do the actual hardware.
Oh, you
So
mean like, okay, so like Nvidia.
yeah, and their competitors, right? I think this will be a year of a lot of competitors rising up to take away some of that return from Nvidia. I think the software will come in future years. I don't think we've even seen the winner of the AI software yet. I think this year for 2025, it's still the hardware guys. What do you got?
Oh man. So well, one, I just want to like nod to Freeberg's prediction. He predicted that robotics was gonna win in this area, and he showed this Chinese company that had like, it was the Dynamics dog,
Yeah, they clearly stole
but
that
it
dog.
had wheels on the bottom,
Yeah,
so
it
it
was
seemed more
wild.
useful. But this thing was doing ninja moves. It was crazy. Like
It was.
and you think about that, like that has is they're selling these for $3,000 a dog. Like that has immediate use and utility. So I not into that because I think he's dead on.
I'm glad you brought that up. I wanted to talk about that. Uh, One, yes. Imagine if if China wins the robotics race based off stealing United States IP. Like we clearly had a time frame where we weren't tough enough on China stealing our stuff, and that could lead them. Like if robotics take over, even if they win in AI, it's because they stole from American companies to get their jump start, and then the cheap Chinese market, won out in the mass production. Imagine we lose those two races to China because we didn't protect our shit.
I mean, isn't that like inevitable? One, them stealing IP, and two, they're just going to be able to produce that hardware cheaper. I mean, we would have to make a lot of big changes to be able to compete with like hardware production. I don't really know if they're attainable changes. Um, at least with like most of the country's mindset.
Yeah, but it's just like outright theft, right? There's a difference between a
But can
competitor.
you stop? You can't stop it.
Yeah, you can. You can absolutely stop it.
How would you stop China from creating the Boston Dynamics dog?
Keep Chinese
Look
spies
like,
out of MIT for the past 20 years. You
but
could
isn't it just a matter
prevent
of
them from
reverse
doing
engineering
like
it? Isn't
cyber theft. Like
okay?
if
Like
the Boston Dynamics dog got to market first, and that was China's first look at it, then now they have 10 years of trying to copy it to catch up. Where after which their advantage kicks in, right? But we have the advantage of the prototyping, the development. We're losing that to them every time they steal it.
I mean, that's would be speculation, right?
Dude, you saw the dog.
Yeah,
That
and
is
it was way
identical.
better.
No, no, they have the same backwards joints on the legs.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, it is. I if I was a professor, I'd flunk that student for copying.
well,
100%.
well, I don't know. I mean, I think it's. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm saying it's speculation. Like we haven't been watching. How do you know? Like
This is not a court of law. I don't have to have proof. I I have my gut opinion, and that's enough for me. Guilty,
I would say it's likely. I don't know if it's guaranteed. Like
guilty,
you're
and they're
saying,
known for doing it.
dude. I feel
That's
like
their whole thing.
I get it. America is the innovators. That's our mindset. That's the story we're told. But like, you don't think that they have innovators there? You don't think they have like
No,
no, none?
not nearly as
You don't
much.
think that's biased opinion at all? You don't think other
No,
countries
I don't.
have super
I think
smart
that's
people?
I think that's totally fair. So one, they send all their best students here to learn because we have the best schools.
That's another. It could be like there's no evidence.
When's the last?
That they
So
send their
out of your
very
high
best
school
here.
class, what good student went to China for college? Can you name one?
No, but they have enough people. They don't need imports.
And
I
then,
mean, I'm not saying we get great talent, but like we don't get 100% of their phenomenal talent. There's no way.
their biggest companies right now: Alibaba, direct Amazon copy. They just talked about all their EV cars are winning, Tesla copies, right?
Yeah.
I'm on one side on this one. I'm pretty. You'd have to show me some real convincing evidence to change my opinion on that. My mustache keeps breaking this.
I know, it's kind of hilarious.
All right. Biggest business losers. Oh, wait. Before we leave the robots, I think we see robots. One, I can't name you one robotics company outside of Tesla. Where are they? Where are the brand names? And then two, I feel like they start in military. Don't you? Don't
Yeah.
you like feel like the first big mass production robots is military? Where's that
would say
contract
that
at?
before 20 in 2023 I would have said that. But now I don't see a world where someone beats Tesla.
Do you see a world where Tesla wins a big military contract first? Like they did with SpaceX? Right? SpaceX makes most of their money from Starlink, which is a private company, but a huge part of Starlink is all the defense contracting.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I think there are a lot of new software defense companies. I think they're going to be competitors, and they might be more likely to get those contracts. Maybe I don't know, but
I'm
I
rooting
don't
for 'em.
see. I don't see one of those defense companies making a product that then turns commercial before Tesla. Like I think Tesla's got way too big of a media presence and like they're just winning in every aspect. They're winning in performance. They're winning in image.
Yeah,
They have the money.
wait. What if the military deems it as weapons technology, like they did with the rocketry?
They should.
They should, right? They absolutely should. Or it's going to end up in a Chinese frickin' thing. You know it will. Optimus version China 0.0 will be out next year.
Yeah. That's inevitable. I mean, that's what is that company that Friedberg was saying. They do have it was a $60,000 robot as well.
I think this is a very interesting field in which you have the hardware and software. Like you need them both.
Oh yeah.
And there's not a ton of companies out there that are good at both. So I wonder how many. That was my biggest business deal. To skip ahead. Sorry.
Yeah,
to go out of order.
Let's just go to that one. We'll get into it. So you can.
I had new robotics companies, and I think in particular it's going to be the Apples the companies with a lot of capital buying
Pause, dude.
up these small robotics.
Apple has so far to go to win in any new technology. They are
In hardware,
struggling.
they're the hardware kings so far. If you say
Yeah,
who's the
but
best hardware company in the last 25 years, it's
have you
Apple.
seen their software? Their software has been failing dramatically for the past 3 years. They quit their AI program.
No, I agree. But this is where I think the hardware company buys the software company to pair it up. And I think the opposite will happen too. I think there'll be some software companies like Google that go out and buy hardware companies that are good at robots, like Boston
Bro,
Dynamics. I think these will be the big business deals of next year.
I
Either
could
hardware
see.
buying software or software buying hardware.
Yes, and that's a good point. Whoever wins, it has to be vertically integrated, or else it won't be as good. That's just a fact.
You
These
think they
robotics
have to make the
companies,
software and the hardware?
yes, because there's not. You could have a good plug and play product, but I think a vertically integrated robot is just going to be better. Because it's going to be optimizing every aspect of that robot, and like the training would be, I would assume, better programmed and better trained. The models would work better with the native body of the robot.
Yeah.
And prices would be cheaper. Like I think it has to be vertically integrated.
Do you
That's what
so? I picture a robot that's vertically integrated in its movements, but like let's say you're making a bartender, like and Apple builds this bartender robot. I don't want to talk to Siri for the interaction with the human, right? I want to talk to Google. So could Apple build the hardware, program how to pour, but then have the interface be a third party software? Probably not Google, right? They're too big of a competitor, but
I don't like. I think what you're saying is, I mean, that's just like the icing is having the interface, the dialogue level, like interact. I think that's just the icing on it. But for a
there's a lot of
company that
service jobs out there.
what?
I feel like there's a lot of service jobs out there
Yeah,
where
but
the
I think
interaction is going to be the biggest thing.
so. Like that's like you're saying, like a company buying a robot that a general purpose robot that they want to be a bartender. They want to like have a different dialogue or whatever. That robot still has to be vertically integrated from the hardware to software, and then the icing on the top would be like, how are you going to have it communicate? Like, what service are you going to have it communicate? But it still has to take in those inputs and process
Wait,
it through.
wait. Is there like this AI store, this app store, where you can buy different AIs to go on top of your robot?
I think it's, it's the same idea at a high level, but it's not going to be app store. It's going to be like a interface, like a chat
Okay.
interface or whatever, where
Or,
you're like you
yeah.
just tell it specifically what it wants, and it creates a unique experience for you. It is like full AI. There's no apps because apps are too generalized. It creates the entire experience to what you are requesting it to do.
Do you think that? Don't you feel like there's going to be a winner, though,
In robotics or AI or
in the
both?
AI? And how does that winner get incorporated across?
I think you see I think you should see carbon copies like you did with Chat GPT.
Really?
Because there's so much money to be made, right? It's an enormous market. And now I look at
Once you,
OpenAI is I don't even know if OpenAI is going to be around in 5 years. They're going to be like the AOL of
maybe,
AI. Like
but if you figure out the breakthrough, why isn't your first command? Tell me how to defend my breakthrough from other
yeah.
people achieving it.
Well, that's like I
Create
think
a
that's
computer
a
virus that'll
further
shut down all the competitors.
that's like a longer that's like AGI. Like that's I
Yeah.
think further down the road than the first wave of
When do you think that
robotics
happens? If it's not 2025, what's your prediction right now?
for AGI.
Yeah, we're adding this in here. This is gonna be our poly market. You can't really do a poly market for this
Yeah,
because
because it's too vague.
define it, but
Oh man, I would say, can you give me your definition of AGI? And I'll answer towards that.
Dang. It's like what we've been talking about. Like, it's a central AI that is not programmed to do a specific task, but rather can intuit any discipline it wants on request.
Are you saying, and is it the AGI that whatever country gets it first is the winner?
Yeah,
Of
yeah,
like,
yeah.
is in
It is
terms of they
like
can, oof.
it's now exponentially growing past human intelligence, can
I
start
would,
comprehending physics we don't understand.
I would say I have 2 years in mind. I don't know why. Of like 13 years and like 7 years. It's so hard because like I feel like that gets developed under the radar. There's no way. I mean, maybe these companies do that first, but like when you
That
look
was
back
one
in
of their
history,
predictions. They'd start
when,
hiding the good models.
when you start looking back at like history, like I feel like the government, like you had like DARPA or whatever, and the defense contractors, like they were always leading innovation, but there wasn't a Silicon Valley at the time. So like, is it just times are different,
Right.
and it is going to be those private companies, or is there like the whole like secret,
Why
like
isn't AI weapons technology? I wonder if it is. I could see it like having ITAR restrictions,
what restrictions?
international trade restrictions.
Mm,
But it can't, right? Because Facebook's Llama is open source. Like literally everyone on the planet can see it.
yeah,
Why is that not weapons restricted? That's weird. Anyways,
I don't know if there's like if it's applicable to contain it.
you can contain
So,
anything, right? You're restricting who works on it and who you give it to.
well, there your MI or the Chinese spies in Boston
I know.
Dynamics. Like
Gotta watch out for them.
it's like I don't know.
That's a
Um,
no-brainer, by the way, that they did that. I can't believe we let them do that. I don't blame
what
them.
was that topic we were on there? Biggest business
Biggest
deal?
business deal.
Okay, I got a good one for you.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to be the biggest, but I think it will be a big business deal. I think Polymart Market figures out how to legally operate in the United States. I think they're big enough. I think they had a big enough role in the outcome of the election that they have enough friends that they're going to figure it out. Um, or they seem big enough right now that they're just so successful that it's too big of a market not to be in the United States. So that's
I like that one.
them.
Because there's a lot of momentum for gambling becoming legal again.
What do you feel about that? Because I hate gambling, but I think if we're in a free country, you should be able to.
I'm
And
very libertarian on this. I am
I think it's not
free
great for people.
free vices across the board, right? Let people decide, let cultures decide, let societies decide. Don't let governments decide.
hmm I think that's the right answer. It's hard for me to say that, but like, if I want to be a truly unbiased and stick to my guns of like open and free, like I think it has to be. I think it's really sad when you see people addicted to it and whatnot, but it's if it's a free country, you can gamble. You should be able to.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right, let's get back up to biggest business winner.
We did that biggest business loser. Did you do
Mm,
your winner?
Uh,
You talked about how the robots
oh,
comments from
I
Freeberg.
nodded to Friedberg's robots. I so I had not not a great prediction on my part, but I had two like kind of ideas. One was just companies utilizing AI agents. The first companies to have the positions open up of AI implementation consultant and implementation engineer. I think I'm gonna stick to my guns and say that's going to be a real thing in the future, and it's going to be like the first industry pop up for AI. Well, not first industry, but a first like big career field open up. Um, and then I'll just keep this one brief. I think crypto with Trump getting into office, with a crypto czar being a position now. Like, I think development and progress in the crypto industry is going to bloom. I have more to speak to that here in some future predictions as well.
Okay. Let's go to loser. Biggest business loser.
I think their bestie guest, Gavin, I think I'm on the same page as him. I think EOM software providers. So EOM software providers, they usually create what's called COTS products, COTS, custom off the shelf.
Commercial off the shelf. Right? Not custom. That's
I think
the
it's
opposite.
So
It's like
anyway,
not custom.
Yeah.
It's like generic.
Well, no, so like, gosh, if I'm, anyways, I gotta look this up because it's gonna, yeah, commercial off stuff. You're right. But
we have a lot of it in our design, to be fair.
But so like, I guess tell me if I'm wrong, but COTS is the products are usually like 98, 90% complete, and that last percent they get customized for each customer. I think
it's like 100% complete, and you kind of it's not customized to you. That's kind of the point. Like Excel would be a COTS software. You could buy Microsoft Office COTS.
Yeah, you're right. I got the wrong acronym. Anyways, EOM software is typically like that last percent, at least from what I've seen, companies I've worked at, the last 10 to 1% is customized for the implementation into that enterprise.
I'm sure there's a good name for it, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah. I thought it was COTS, but it's not, I guess. So I think this is what AI is going to be really good at doing, helping develop software that is 100% customized for these enterprise companies.
Yeah.
So
and cheaper. Chamath's always talking about it'll be cheaper.
Yeah. So
to do your own custom.
This past year he started a company called 8090. It's 80% of the product features with 90% less of the cost. I think that model is going to destroy a lot of the EOM software companies.
Yeah, he's just trying to undercut all the big expensive ones.
There's a lot of money there.
Oh yeah, yeah. When you start seeing Workday ads on the Super Bowl, you know there's a lot of money in it.
Yeah, Workday is not good. I'm sorry.
It could definitely be undercut, but I think it's what you're missing with that prediction is how much like HR and corporations just love the non-risky approach. Nothing can go wrong with Workday. If anything goes wrong with Workday, hey, I picked the same software 100 other Fortune 100 companies picked.
Mm-hmm.
Don't blame me. It's not my fault. I think the corporations are so anti-risk that offering that safe choice is a pro, even though it's less efficient and more expensive.
I think that is a great take, but I will stick to my guns in the fact that if you can get down 90% of the cost, whoever is paying 90% less for all of their in-house software or all the software they're using is going to be a lot better competitor in their industry.
Yeah. It'll win eventually.
That is 90% of cost of I would imagine that would be a big number in these enterprises. The amount of enterprise software they have, they cut 90% of that cost. That's maybe it's not.
I don't think Boeing will ever do that.
Well,
and I think that's why the establishment eventually loses. They stop adopting the competitive practices. I think it's the new guard that will adopt those.
Yes, but I think that is an aspect of why those companies will lose. Companies not progressing, not innovating, they're going to lose. And I guess maybe it's not this year. Maybe this is too jumping the gun too early. But
I think what you're talking about, it starts this year. Those options, those competitors, they start this year.
Mm-hmm.
And we see them really take root in the future. But when you go back, it'll be 2025. They started attacking those established software giants. I think you're right. Hey, can we pause real fast?
I guess. Sure. Pause.
There's
I
no
don't.
pause option?
I don't want to stop the recording and have
Okay.
to like
I gotta pee.
try to splice it. Sure. Thanks, Bob.
I'm back.
All right.
Woo! I
Continue.
feel better. All right. Jumping back in.
Yeah, I think. Have you done your biggest business loser?
Loser? I have not.
Okay.
I have government customers, the established government customers. I think they'll lose long term starting this year. My big one is the unhealthy food companies. Not only are I think regulations going to go against them, but their brands are going to be absolutely tarnished when those files are released about how much they knew and how much they chose profits over the health of America. I think they're Nestle. Um, what are the other big food ones? Dang it, they're not coming to mind. There's some giants out. Coca-Cola. That there's going to be a lot of brands that just take a smashing this year. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I feel like they have so many like subsidiaries, and they're so like intricate, and they're like convoluted ownership that they would like just do another subsidiary and
Yeah,
they would still survive.
I
Like,
think that's worked, but I think every time
what's
Kellogg,
that? What's that animal that you chop its head off and grows two?
a Hydra,
Yeah, they're like a hydra, dude. They're scary.
they are, but I think they've. I think this is the year where there's going to be so much, just like what they knew that this red dye 40 was causing cancer in kids or something. Just as an example, that they're just going to get hit all year long, plus regulations on top of them. I think they are easy targets for political figures to dismantle. And one of the biggest revelations of the election was all the moms that typically vote left went right because of this health agenda that RFK brought to Trump. I think it was huge, and I think it's going to be a big piece of the political debate coming up is what side of MAHA Maha
Yeah.
do you land on?
Like I Friedberg says this, and I think Tremoth does too, is they're like, why is this a polarizing topic? Like, why is the left not agreeing with? Like, how are you not on the side of
Right.
health?
So
Like,
I think the left will. I think they'll bring RFK back, or at least try to.
I mean, that's them winning. That's them coming back to the middle. I hope
I
for
think
their
so.
sake.
But what that means is kind of like the big social media companies have been an easy target for both sides of the aisle for the past 4 years. I think now it's the big food companies become the easy political target for both sides of the fence to agree on. These are the bad guys. We got to go get them.
I hope so. I mean, we saw none of that this year from the left, so
Yep.
hopefully they didn't burn a bridge with RFK because it feels like they did.
Yeah, but I think even if they don't repair that bridge and RFK doesn't run Democratic, I think the person that wins the Democratic side will have that in their list of big things.
We'll see. We'll see how deep in the pockets those companies are into the left. 'Cause I'd be surprised if they join Maha.
Well, so that kind of pivots into my next one, most contrarian belief. I think things are going to get worse before they get better. And the reason I think that is I think that establishment is going to go down swinging. And I've already mentioned it, but we've seen it with Biden. Kind of at this last throws, they know their time's up, and they're just blatantly doing these pardons and these big executive actions. I think we won the political vote. The people got what they wanted. Anti-establishment. I think that's what it is. But I think it's got to get worse before it gets better. I think the economy's got to get worse before it's better. It's propped up on those government spending that we've had for all these years. And just like getting off a drug, you're going to have withdrawals. So I think a lot of good things are to come, but I think it's going to be painful to get there.
Yeah, I would agree with you mainly on the aspect of the economy. I feel like it's done way too well.
I agree. And doesn't it feel like something has to break? I can't put my finger on why exactly I feel that way, except as like I don't see how American consumers continue to put up with this inflation.
I don't know. I think money's fake, and I don't know. Maybe I think there's going to be a.
It's not though. Eventually, you got to pay the piper. Like,
who's the piper though? The like the U.S. debt is like that seems fake. Like they don't owe anybody anything. They're never gonna. I don't know. They're gonna.
They owe real banks real money right now.
But the banks can't. If all the banks decided they were going to collect all the United States debt, they can't, right? So therefore,
no, they can. It's guaranteed. The government would have to default for the first time in history in order to do that. And then if they default, they can do that, but who's going to lend them money in the future? So either way, that ends.
But they don't have the money to pay the banks. Therefore,
they print it. They inflate the dollar to pay the banks.
Yeah, but if as the bank, if you can never they would never do that because I think all the money would be it would be hyperinflated and it would be useless, right? So if you can never collect on the debt, even if you can figuratively, collect on the debt, but you never will because it's not it won't benefit you, then it's not a real thing. Like they don't ever have to really pay it all back, as opposed to our debt.
I think banks get paid all the time. I mean, every year we pay our payments. The U.S. has never defaulted, so it's like the best loan they can make. It's zero. It's as close to zero risk as possible. So if they loan the government $1 trillion at 3% earnings, that's $30 billion of almost risk-free money every year.
Yeah.
I'll take that deal.
So
I'll be that bank.
Yeah, I think so. I guess one more thing on this topic of the economy. I think I'm not an economist. I'm not a finance person. In the 2008 housing crisis, they were giving out credit to everyone for houses, right? They were giving out loans for everyone in bad loans. Everywhere I look, it's payments. I can buy anything. I can go McDonald's, pay with Apple Pay, and make payments on my McDonald's purchase.
Yep.
Every time I check out for a pair of shoes, for windshield wipers, for plates, it's make payments on it.
Yep.
I think that is going
At
to be,
0% too.
and
It's
I think that is
competitive.
going to be what, like the '08 housing crisis, where they were just over giving out credit. I think it's going to be that. It's going to be a form of that with all these uh, buy now, pay later things. Like it just seems like there's way too much credit being given out right now. In Dave Ramsey's podcast, we learned the average American credit card debt is $22,000. That's
It's
on average,
nuts.
and it's
At a
like
20% interest.
how is the economy? Like it
I
seems
think that's a
inevitable.
symptom of inflation killing the average American. I mean, I have a lot of kids, so that's part of it, but I'm in a very high percentage of salary for my age. And I'm not adding to my savings. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Well,
I tell
that's
Leslie
one
that all
thing
the time.
that
It's like
worries me.
if we're struggling, imagine the average person.
Yeah.
And we won't be the first to break. Someone has to break. And I'm surprised it hasn't happened already. That's one of the things I've been thinking about a lot. Like, you ever watch The Big Short?
Yeah.
That movie, I forgot his name. He's the broker that predicted the crash. He made billions, but he almost lost billions because he
Uh-huh.
predicted it too early. And one of the things you learn I listen to this guy. He's a doom and gloom on the economy all the time. He has been for 3 years now since I've been listening to him, and he's right in all the statistics he's seeing and how they're predicting a crash, but he's wrong. And he's more wrong than the people that are betting that the economy's not crashing because
Yeah.
he's early. I think he's early. And so part of this whole thing that makes this macro economy so hard is there's so many things that want it to keep going the way it is. It's hard to predict when the bubble is going to pop.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's hitting the nail on the head of like predicting the economy is why it's so hard. Is
Mm-hmm.
because momentum, like you can say the economy is like ready to pop, but as long as momentum keeps it going up, then like it's not. It's
And
once the momentum stops, right?
yeah. And Trump wants to do all these things, but he doesn't want the economy to pop.
I
Not on
think
his watch.
I think I I think this is also where crypto is going to be a crazy storyline in our life, where how many things transform to crypto. Um, how do you like getting out a loan for your house change? How does there's just a lot of there's a lot of aspects to crypto, a lot of areas that it can improve, like um,
Well,
cost.
the biggest one is right. It doesn't inflate it inflates mathematically, predictably, and if we're talking about Bitcoin, minimally,
Mm-hmm.
until it doesn't. And I think that's the biggest draw to it.
So we're on the next topic is most contrarian belief, right?
Yeah. What do you have?
Uh, I think, I think so. What it will be, I think this is the year that we witness layer two implementations of crypto. We witness the actual promise of what crypto is. Polymart, great example. I think you see things like media platforms that no longer have the middleman of YouTube, Instagram, Facebook making profits, and it's just the content creators making profits. There is a middleman to be taken out of the equation in media. I think you see that. I think things like Wikipedia, it can be better implemented on decentralized networks. I think there's a lot of areas that have been promised to be implemented in crypto, like the layer two network is how I see it. And I think we're going to see more products. I think Polymart Market's really the first big one to come out. And people have been promising for a long time, and I think this is the year.
So Chamath's prediction was the what
Stable
is it?
coins.
The stable coins would have a big year. I think that's similar. I feel like if that was the case, if the YouTube and the Wikipedia was going to disrupt it, we'd already know the brand. It would be small, but we'd know it. In order for it to have its big break, like who is the YouTube? Because
But
they're
that's like
definitely
saying,
setting themselves up to be disruptive. I agree. They're abusing their customers and their
but
creators.
so I'm okay. How about this? Do you agree with the idea that in those areas there's room for innovation?
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
Specifically, so
huge,
if
and a lot
there
of money to be
is
made.
if there is room for innovation and efficient, more efficiently costed, like the creators are getting more money. Like if there's room for that innovation, it's inevitable for that to happen. Like you can't compete. Like it's because this is.
Yeah, but
Oh,
when I just do you think that those companies are founded and blow up in the same year?
uh, I don't know. I'm just whether they're founded or they blow up this year. I think they are in development this year. I think.
I agree with you on that. I think
I
that's the
think.
call. I think you're right
I
on that one.
and I don't know. I think Polymarket Market is a phenomenal example of how quickly it can blow up. One, and two, how cool and how progressive these innovations are going to be. Like genuine innovations in the fields that just blow polling out of the water. Like polling looks so stupid when you think about Market having the same or being the same addressing the same issue. You know,
Yeah,
it's like that is a two-step functions better than polling. Like maybe three.
Polymarket was launched in 2020. That's just like a data point.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you're spot on. Where maybe the thing that upsets YouTube is made this year, right? Based off the crypto technology.
Yeah, and I am not involved enough in like the news in that field, but as far as decentralized products, solutions, they just what software has done and is so good at doing is it takes out middlemen. Right now, a lot of these software companies are the new middlemen.
But
What
you need
does
a
it?
storage. So the middleman has the storage.
Uh
In a
huh.
lot of these instances, right? The YouTube, the Wikipedia, it is they get their cut and they get to do what they want to do because they have the massive amount of storage.
Yep. And imagine the people own these companies now. Like it's truly decentralized. Like I just think it is a big enough area of innovation. It's inevitable, and I see it. You know, like it feels like it's clicked in my head. Like these are
Mhm.
areas that are going to be affected.
let's 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 slide on to best performing assets because one of my I had two on this one. I think Bitcoin's an easy one here. It's a slam dunk. The one thing I wonder about Bitcoin is how much of the Trump boost already happened.
I agree.
Right. So that's the big question in my mind. It'll go up. How much? Did it already have its doubling under Trump before the election, or does it have another doubling in it? I don't know. My unique best performing asset that I had was land in the middle of nowhere. And this one might again be too early, but I'm just looking at this disruption coming, and I feel like people don't like to be close knit. They don't like to be crammed in all these little cities. But the cities are where the economy is. And if this whole economy is disrupted by AI and robotics,
Are you saying
I
we're
think
going to
people just
decentralize? Our population's going to
oh
decentralize?
yeah. As soon as it can. As soon as it can. And so I think this year is the year to buy land in the middle of nowhere. And I think it'll be one of the best performing assets over the next decade.
It's well, one, it's a deflationary asset, or it's an asset that isn't affected by inflation. As in, it's this kind of same thing as Bitcoin is you're never gonna have more of it. Well,
Right.
I guess Bitcoin's not quite there yet, but that's the idea, right? It's
Yep.
it's it's better than gold.
Yep.
You're promised it till in a million years we're occupying
On the
another.
moon or on Mars.
Yeah.
Or on Alpha Centauri.
Yeah, no, that's. I mean, I had Bitcoin again. I can't tell you specifically why. I just have enough information gathered. I have a gut feeling that it's here to stay. It's only going to go up and to the right. And I have like thoughts, but my Bitcoin crypto understanding, I haven't had enough information to where like I'm great at conceptualizing it and explaining it. But that's what my gut's telling me. Um, we can go on to worst performing asset.
What
You're
do you
good
got?
with that?
Yep.
Um, man, I kind of hate how much I'm repeating myself. I was with Gavin here that I just think this EOM software is gonna this EOM software companies are gonna they're gonna be disrupted, and I think this is the year that we're gonna see that disruption.
I had cars. I think when this economy, if it does pop,
Are
cars
you
are going to be
too
the only first
early?
thing to go. No, I think this year. I think I so I just bought a car. I didn't want to buy a car. I thought it was very poor time to buy a car. I had to because we just got too big for it. I think the car market is going to be a victim of the economy, and I think um it's if you buy a car now ahead of full self driving, you're buying a car that in 5 years is going to be obsolete. Right? If full self driving takes over and you have a car that can't do it, what is the value of that car going to be in 5 years?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's gonna take a big hit with FSD. I don't see how you wouldn't if FSD became fully implemented and was just out there in the world and it was good, it worked out, ideal world. I don't see where Tesla doesn't sell like packages to install on existing cars, like I or some company. Like if I mean, yes, cars
You
will
need the
take.
cameras, right?
You just need 11 cameras. That's all you need, and you plug it in to the electric. As long as the car has electric steering, all cars have braking and throttle control already through the computer. Uh, and I only believe that's true because we have cruise control and we have emergency braking. If a car can do those two things, that means it has enough capability to implement 11 cameras for FSD.
Do you think Tesla's FSD would work on a gas powered car? Because they drive differently.
I think that you strap on cameras for a year to gas powered cars and you could train a model if it doesn't. It doesn't take, it's not going to take that long.
I don't know.
I,
I
I
think
think that's a simple solution compared to FSD. They can figure out FSD at that scale. They'll figure out how to uh, strap it onto existing.
I feel like that all that hardware that was before FSD is going to get pitched. I think it's going to be like a step function change in the hardware that if you were before this time, you are now considered obsolete and we're just going to throw you away. That's
I
my
mean,
guess.
I think your biggest argument to cars not being retrofitted with that is the profitability would Tesla would probably be a lot more profitable if they didn't do that because they would sell cars and software rather than just like the retrofit kit for existing cars. Um, so
I think to get full self driving certified, right? To get I can't imagine all the safety things you have to hop through. To strap on 11 cameras to an F-150 from 2015 and get it certified to drive itself, I just have a hard time picturing that. I think it'd be cheaper to just make a new one. And when full self driving is a thing, cars change their look a lot, right? I
yeah, I think that
I
would
don't
be
think
a
it's
bigger.
very long before Tesla doesn't have a forward facing seat.
Yeah.
But I think this year is the year that people say full self driving is the future and start looking at these cars that they could buy now as Do I really want to buy it now if it's going to go obsolete? Plus, I think the economy.
the car shopping industry though. It's like once you want a car, you're gonna get a car. I yeah. I don't know. I think car prices go down, and FSD is going to impact that. I think this year
They're
might
too
be a stretch.
expensive. Those cars are too expensive at the cost of money right now to borrow, and with all the debt people have. I think cars
But
are too
everyone
expensive.
does it.
Those
It hasn't
lots are
stopped
full
people.
right now. We'll
It hasn't
see.
stopped people this far, and it's getting better.
We'll see. I think it has. I just don't think you've heard the stories yet. I think the lots are full, and they're saying, okay, it's the off season. People aren't buying cars over the holiday break. They're going to buy them in the summer. We'll see. I think my prediction will be yes or no in the summer. If you see full lots in the summer, I think I'm right.
Holly market. Let's see. All right.
Most anticipated trend.
I'll go first. My first one is another duplicate, so I'm gonna skip it. It was niche software applications, like just fully integrated specific.
Hey, we're both on the same
REST
page with that
issues.
one.
On top of that, what I kind of was thinking throughout this is like more that software, the SaaS company, the founder mentality in government. David Sachs, I think he is going to outcompete in that field, and if he does well, I think you're going to see a lot more of that. Of
See that? Oh,
like
that's his
a
niche venture.
founder mentality in government, like David Sachs. I think he has the opportunity to be so much better than the people already in that area and to cause disruption. I think you're going to see a lot more like government officials or employees have to be productive because they're going to have to compete with people like
the trend is business people going into politics.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that. I hope that's the case.
I think that's like
I find it hard to believe that there's that.
I think if David Sachs is successful, it's like another inevitable thing of like he could be so successful that like you just can't, like you have to go that way to stay relevant.
Yeah, could be. It's just so detrimental to your career to do it. I think very few people could pull it off where it's a positive to
That's
their
why
career.
it takes someone like him to be a trend starter and prove that it's attainable.
Especially if they take insider trading away.
Yeah.
And you're going to go to be a senator making $250,000 a year when he's probably making what, $250,000 every week. You got to divest all your investments.
I mean, I feel like there's enough David Sachs in the world for more people like him to surface.
I hope you're right. I've asked I would love to go into politics one day. I think I'd be good at it. I think I can make a difference. The older I get and the more I have a family and other things, it's like, dude, that is a big risk. Like, talk about risky. Like, that could ruin your life. Mm-hmm. You immediately, the next day, you have people whose job it is to find dirt on you. Yeah. Or to put dirt on you.
Hey, man,
right? If they can't find anything.
You already started a podcast. That's, if we're successful, like, I mean, that's
one of the things I've thought about when we did this. This is a risk more than it is a return in my mind. But I'm okay with it. I obviously made the decision, but my risk calculation was not a good one.
I would like to talk about this going into the new year. How have you felt through the podcast or process of starting a podcast and continuing it? For example, when we started, I was on fire. Like, I was like wanting to do it. I've been wanting to do a podcast like since college, and I've had many ideas of, like, what I wanted to do. And so I was really excited when you wanted to do it. I think around like the 3 to 6 episode range, it almost became a drag. And now it's like it's like second nature. It's just easy. Like, I don't feel like it's a burden to prepare for it. I think I have a lot of fun. I've gotten my skills in talking have gotten better, I feel like, and
Agreed.
conceptualizing things. I've really enjoyed it. I think we're here to stay in terms of we're just going to keep doing it. Like, I think we're genuinely onto something. Um, I don't see us stopping. What are your thoughts on the process? Is the 2024 the follow up podcast?
Um, I started with that risk calculation, and I was worried about it. I love it. I love doing it every Sunday. And I've come to the conclusion that if this never blows up, it will still be worth it. I think mom might hate me saying this, but this has kind of become my church type of thing. Like every
Uh,
Sunday morning, we learn about something that's interesting and makes me better, and then we talk about it. And it's kind of just ritual. Like I have my coffee, I sit down and I watch my podcast, and then I talk about it with my brother, right? And I really form these opinions on these complicated topics. I love it, and I think it'll take 5 years before anyone's really listening to this, but I do think it will blow up one day. I've
I
changed
agree.
my calculation on that. I think it will be a thing.
I have the idea. I want to grow my network uh, of people in entrepreneurship. Um, that's one of my goals this year. And I mean, I don't want to not to go in detail of like how I would do that, but I think it's going to come in from having guests on. I think that's how we expose ourselves. But I think as long as like we're refining our craft, we're getting a lot better. We're having fun doing it. If we keep doing that, and one way or the other, it's gonna pop. I think. Um, and then also while we're on this most anticipated trend, one thing I really liked about this episode was every year, New Year's, everyone wants to have new goals, right? But I think what is just as important is taking a step back and evaluating where everything's going to go this year. What's the future predictions? Like, why are you creating goals if you're not predicting what's going to change? You know, so I think it's a pretty cool process. Instead of just creating goals for the new year, like what are your New Year predictions? Like that could be a trend in the future. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's like
So
what are your New Year predictions? That's a cool like thought.
one of my latest job is agile hardware IPT, which you know before I got this job I thought that was an oxymoron. Those two different meanings. Hardware design is not agile. One of the things I love the most about it is every quarter there's this PI planning where you plan what you're going to do for next quarter. And ours isn't exactly traditional, but I do love that every quarter for a week we stop and we plan. We set new goals. We look forward, and I think it pays for itself every quarter, which is hard to do. To pay for a week of labor every quarter, you have to have some insane returns, and we have seen those. And so that is one thing I plan on taking forward with me is this consistently looking forward and setting new goals type of mentality.
Yeah, that's cool. I think yeah, it's a
And I
something
like your
not many
idea
people are
about
doing.
like expanding our network of entrepreneurs and just like in general people that think like us. Like, and when I say us, this is my own label, but it's like ambitious, peak of their career individuals.
And you know what's really cool about it? Because I was like, what would it look like if I was became friends with the founder of a company and I wanted to have him on? It's like, oh, it's really simple. I say, what is your favorite podcast, book, form of media? What is your favorite? Pick it out and we'll talk about it.
Right.
Like that's a great way to get to know someone.
I agree.
Like, what do they enjoy learning? What are they passionate about? It's like it's a really cool take on like a cool way to learn about somebody, and no one's doing it. I think we got a good idea going here,
I agree.
and
Like
also
imagine Elon Musk being like, my favorite podcast is blah blah blah.
and as a listener, that is so valuable.
Agreed.
What are the most successful people? What are they doing to learn?
Yep.
That's my question. I want to know.
Yep. I agree. Can we watch back real fast?
Yes.
My most anticipated trend is the declassification of documents.
Ooh, cool. I like it.
I cannot wait. I will be subscribed to the Doge Twitter files. I will have Kash Patel on my Twitter timeline. I think we have piled up 50 years of dirt that these people that I have grown to have a lot of animosity towards, and we have put people in position to expose them. And I got my popcorn ready. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, with everything, we just feel like, as a audience, watching these things develop, I just feel like we're closer to the action. Like we're more involved. Like just how media's played out. It feels like we're a lot more involved with what's going on with that stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
But so that tags into the next category is most anticipated media. I have Doge Twitter. So that's kind of one too. What do you have for most anticipated media?
Doge, as in Department of Government Efficiency. Okay.
Yeah.
Um. So this is just like off the cusp. I was like, I don't like watch that much stuff. Like I don't know. I like podcasts. I can't say that. GTA 6. I think that's gonna take over the world for like a month whenever it drops.
I, as a manager, like seriously, it's going to be on my calendar. Like I think if you have a young workforce, particularly male workforce, you are going to see a dramatic efficiency drop for a couple weeks.
I mean, it's gonna be huge.
It is.
Super predictions.
I like that one. I like. I might add that as my alternate because I'm excited for it too.
I can't get it, dude. There's no way I can commit my time to that.
You're gonna not get it?
Heck yeah.
There's one of the things I admire about you, Conley, is your lack of like entertainment. Like seriously, but like I can't even empathize with your mindset. All right. Last thing we have super predictions. So these are the ones that are putting on Polymarket. Deportations over under 75K or 750K. Sorry. I have over. I think that if 750K of the estimated 20 to 30 million is a tiny percentage. I think you could blow it out of the park.
Is that 4 years or 2025?
2025. So he has like 9 months to do it.
I'll take the under. But the thing is, like, those numbers, like, I get, like, how do you prove those? You're like putting trackers on everyone.
I think that one's very easy. Right, when you deport somebody, that's like an actual. It's like an arrest. It's an actual file that the government. It's like we've identified you as an illegal alien. We are moving you out of this country. I think that's a very, I would say, hard to fudge.
All right, which one's next?
The Magnificent Seven shrinks over 7%.
Huh.
I have over. They make up 25% of the S&P in value. 7 companies. No, in value. Like over the top 100 companies, they're worth what the other 93 are only 3 times bigger than those 7.
Are you predicting they get bigger?
No, I'm predicting they return to average.
I don't know, man. But you think you got these companies like Nvidia and Tesla? They're Meta. They're investing in this.
Is Tesla in the Mag 7?
I think now, yeah. It used to be the Mag 5, right? Before Tesla and Nvidia.
It's Facebook, Amazon, Microsoft, Apple, Google, NVIDIA. You think 7 is Tesla?
Tesla. Yep, it's on there.
Because I'm big on NVIDIA and Tesla.
I think these are the
And the other ones have the AI, so
yeah.
okay.
I mean
I think you changed my mind.
they are the Magnificent Seven, is because they are in those industries.
I think you changed my mind. I'm gonna go under.
Pull out the bet. Pull out the bet.
All right. The next one is cloud revenue growth. Who's gonna win? Google, Amazon, Microsoft. I had Google because it feels like since they reversed their DEI, they've been hitting home runs. So I don't know much about cloud. I don't know much about this. I'm just going with what I've seen from afar. And as Google has made a big jump forward because they got rid of their DEI crap.
Cloud's weird because like Amazon seems to be like the predominant force, but they're like wildly known for having a horrible UI. It's like kind of funny. Right. So I don't know, man. I would hate to bet on Microsoft, but from what I've seen, I like Azure the most. I think that's what we'll host our database
that's a good insider pick.
But like I don't know if I wouldn't put my money on Microsoft.
I haven't seen them pivot away from DEI yet.
Well, they got Bill Gates.
I think that's the only thing I know of as an advantage. So I'm going with Google.
All right. Is there another one?
Yep. National debt increases over $1 trillion. I said over. I think, Dad, I'll give it to the crypto prophet here, that there's just too much debt that comes due this year. You're going to have to refinance it, and to do that, you have to print money. So they're going to have to grow the debt. I think Trump also has been good about not saying he's going to reduce the debt. Trump has been saying he's going to increase tariffs, do deportation, and cut regulation. None of those are actually reducing of the debt. And I think he wants a good economy when he leaves. So I think even though it's contrary to the rest of it's not contrary to what he's saying, but it's contrary to a lot of what we agree with, I think he will continue to print money.
I'll go with you on that one.
All right, last ones. These are the ones I found on Polymarket. And so the last two are crazy. All right, Bitcoin price. It'll hit in 2025. Here are what Polymarket is predicting. 5% of Polymarket thinks it'll be over $1 million.
End of 2025?
In 2025, the highest Bitcoin price will be $1 million, 5%, 250K, 15, 200K, 24, which is essentially a double. So that totals to 44% of Polymarket thinks it'll at least double this year. The highest, or never mind, I said that wrong. 24% thinks it'll double this year. The highest percentage is 100,000 at 96, and then there's some bets on the under. But I thought that was interesting. I think I'd put my money around the 150 to 200.
I would bet over 200 for max out. Right. I've looked back at my Bitcoin predictions and I'm always under, which is like weird. But so I would go over 200.
But last year was a big year for them. I mean, they doubled again last year. TikTok ban. 35% say yes. So the market thinks it won't be banned.
Yeah, I thought Trump had like outspokenly said it's not going to be banned.
He said he didn't definitively say it. He said, I don't know, I like TikTok. I had a big influence on TikTok. So he's kind of like hinting that he's that way.
Mm-hmm.
I think 35% is a good prediction. I'm leaning towards it won't be banned.
Yeah, I would actually. That's a bet I'd put money on that.
But if they don't ban it, they have to do something about it being about the influence. Like I really like TikTok. I would never go to YouTube. I think YouTube puts too much of their opinion in the algorithm. TikTok is just simply what you want to see, what it thinks you want to see. I don't think China messes with too much of what it shows you, right? I don't buy into that narrative, but I do believe it's collecting an insane amount of data on us. So,
I would say that one of my prior predictions is this is the area, maybe not next year, maybe I'm too early, but the centralized platform takes over where you can use AI to tailor your algorithm yourself. I mean, it's a network effect app. I think those things take a long time to happen, but I that's gonna one day. Like I think that's gonna be the long term direction of media. You have another one?
Fed rate cuts in
Oh,
2025.
ugh. I would hope so, but I think Trump. I don't know. I don't know enough about it because isn't the Fed like isn't that kind of like left leaning in terms of people running it?
They say they're center, or they say they're non-political. I think
Right.
Powell was appointed by Obama, so officially he's a Democratic appointment. I think. I'm not very sure about that. Right now, they're saying a 0.25% cut is 16%, 50% cut is 27%, 75% cut is 22%, and 100% cut is 13%. So the market thinks it's 50.
Yeah, seems fair.
Um,
I would bet it gets cut this year.
these last two are the fun ones. You ready?
Yeah.
New pandemic in
Pass.
2025. What do you think the chance is?
I think the. I'd say no. I'd say no. I'd
The
bet no.
market will resolve to yes if the World Health Organization declares any disease a pandemic between January 1st,
Uh,
25 and December.
maybe then, because that's like those people. That I mean, that's where you talk about deep state. I think
And their incentive is to say
that
everything is going to end the world to
that's
give us
their
more
that's
funding.
that could be that last ditch effort of like we
Market
gotta.
thinks 19% chance.
I bet it thinks that solely because they think that they're gonna come after Trump's reputation and market like
That's how they got him
his.
last time.
Yeah. All
But
right.
that
What's
was at the end
next?
of his thing. The last one, nuclear detonation. What do you think the market thinks is the chance?
I would say they give it about a 20% chance.
Dude, you nailed it.
Really?
Oh my God. I would have said like 1%. That is terrifying. There's a 1 in 5 chance a nuclear bomb goes off this year.
Well,
Man, I hope that's wrong.
it would be somewhere not in the United States, which
I
is what we
agree
do
with
all the
that.
time.
I agree with that, but 1 in 5. 1 in 5
Dude,
chance. And
yeah.
if that happens, the chance of total destruction across the world is not great. Right? Or I guess it's a high percentage chance that one is a domino effect to the whole world ending.
Yeah.
That's terrifying. Oh my gosh. All right, that's what I had.
So I saw the section super prediction. So I made a super prediction that
Ooh, okay.
uh, X slash possibly Tesla. I've heard this in a podcast. I don't know what it was. I think it was a crypto podcast, but that they acquire a big company like Uber, some company that helps them become the everything app. I think they are on a silent, like not so silent mission to become the everything app, and I think they're going to make some big moves in X this year. I think big moves are inevitable, and I think big moves are acquiring market space in different areas like transportation. If X becomes so, was it this podcast? So they were talking about Uber acquiring X, or X acquiring Uber.
Yeah, Jason was talking about M&A in that ride sharing slash full self driving department.
The only reason I think they wouldn't do that is because they might not need to acquire Uber because they could just vertically integrate, create that themselves, and they don't need to market their customers base. But I think we're going to see X take on a decentralized currency and have their pay platform, like PayPal or Venmo. I think that is coming up soon. But I just they're going to make some big moves this year, and I'm kind of excited to see what they do. I've actually started getting on X more. Um, I thought Gronk was one of the better chat interfaces actually that I've used.
Really? Hey, buddy.
So before we get off here, I have some bonus predictions for you, Dukes.
Okay.
All
Hit
right.
me.
What is going to be our first episode, like the number of episodes it takes for our first podcast to get to 100 listeners? What number? What episode number is it going to be? We're on 14 right now. We're recording 14.
I think episode 100.
So that would be about 2 years.
Yeah.
All
I think
right,
we're going to do
episode
this
100.
podcast for a long time with no one listening. So Chris Williams talks about this a lot on Modern Wisdom. I've heard Galloway talk about it. You know, Galloway's been podcasting for 5 years now.
No,
He's
but
at 5-year mark. Chris Williams is at the 6 or 7-year mark. A lot of these podcasts that you know about that we talk about every day, I think they were founded like 5 or 6 years ago.
so additionally on that, I think what is like misleading is the episode number because, well, like when I initially thought about it, I was like, oh, episode 100 will be at that this year, but that's like 2 years out, like one episode a week.
Right.
And then on top of that, I listened to it's one of my new favorite. I listened to 3 episodes the other day of Rich Habits. They're on episode 97, and they didn't have any viewers till episode 40, so they're about a year in, and now they're a top 10 financial podcast in the world, and they were awesome. They're two like average Joes. It was really cool. We'll have to do one on them. So my next prediction for you is this one. So this one's all in related. How many episodes will David Sachs be on the All In podcast in 2025?
I hate this one because I think it's very few. I think he might be done. I think he might be done.
I'm
And that would break
saying
my heart.
I'm saying less than once a month. I'm saying 5.
My gut was 10.
Hopefully 10. Yeah.
My gut was 10.
Prediction. I would like a Polymart prediction on that. I don't know if they can do that because what prevents like David Sachs from like betting on that?
That's what I mean. Yeah.
All right, next one. This is the last one I have. What hobby will I pick up this year?
I think there's a pretty likely chance you do the high rocks because I think Manning's going that direction.
Do what?
The high rocks, it's like a triathlon, but for CrossFitters.
Oh, okay.
I think that's up there.
Sounds cool. Sounds cool.
This is a good question. I like this question a lot.
I mean, I think it could affect the outcome, whatever you predict, possibly, but I thought it was funny. For the record, I pick up 1 or 2 random hobbies each year.
At least.
This year was podcasting. Year before that was triathlon. Year before that was drones. Year before that was chess.
Yeah, I wonder, like, for some reason, video editing is coming to mind.
Ooh, I think video editing.
So it's like some sort of video
one
editing
being
with
taken over
AI.
from AI. AI is taking over video
Did we
editing.
just jinx each other? I think we just said the exact same thing. I like it. I think there's some sort of AI media creation hobby coming.
I already went through my video editing phase.
No, I don't think it's gone. That's what's coming to mind. We'll see. We'll see. It's a prediction.
I have very much so enjoyed developing this app I'm working on with the Cursor AI.
That's a job. That's not a hobby.
Tomato.
Nope. Nope.
Yeah.
And you already
Anyway.
started that. That's not a prediction.
No, well, so where I was going with that is, if
You
I
might
would have
make
done
more
that 2
apps.
years ago without Cursor, but if I would have done it 2 years ago without Cursor AI, I would be so much further behind. So now it's like I'm at a productivity level that it's worth doing. And that's kind of where video editing ended with me because it took so much freaking time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see. That's a great question. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
I want to
that's all
see
I
what
got.
the whole family predicts on that one.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. I wish you guys could do it in a separate group chat so I can't see it. in the new next year, it's like who hit. That would be funny.
It would be fun to do like some like Poly Market for the family. That'd be cool if there was an app
Oh,
where
is that an app idea?
it's like you can place your non-money bets,
Yeah,
prediction markets.
group predictions.
I mean, we do it like right now. We do it with like NFL futures. I would love to do NBA futures with you guys. But yeah, that'd be cool to take family polls and see who gets the most right.
It'd be fun. It'd be decentralized.
I feel pretty good about the High Rocks prediction because I think Manning and Anna were talking about it, or Manning was talking about it.
Yeah,
and if Manning does it, it's guaranteed Conley does it.
Well, that's like, I would have, if he sent me an invite, I'd have to because he's accepted my triathlon invites. That seems like it would benefit. It would be more in Manning's realm of competing. Like it'd be more his nature to do CrossFit.
Yeah,
challenge like that.
Yeah.
So I would be, I'd be disadvantaged. I'd be the underdog.
And you might have a kid, so you might be double disadvantaged.
And working on an app. That's my other kid.
But Manning has some excuses too. I mean, he'll be working on a second degree, getting a new management job.
Yeah.
All right. Episode 14 in the books. Thank you for listening.
Happy 2025. I think it'll be a fun year.
It is going to be a good year.
Longest episode. First of 2025. All right.